Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Legendary Leaders. I'm your host, Katrina Jameson. I am the founder of Legend Leaders, where we arm female business leaders with the strategies they need to live life on their terms, a legendary life. We're almost finished with December. We're in the thick of the holiday season. You've been coming along with me. I'm so proud of you for hanging in here, figuring out how to create your roadmap in order to deliver to next year's targets, right? You've done a lot of work. You figured out where you are. You figured out what worked and what didn't. You've done all of that research. You've decided what you're going to keep relative to metrics and KPIs that you need to measure this next year. You've decided things you want to eliminate. You've put some strategies together. And so today, we're going to take it one step further, right? We've been digging in and digging in and digging in. And now we're going to dig into the next layer. And this next layer is all about creating your exact milestones and timeframes in order to achieve your endpoint. Now, as we've been talking about this, and we've established the fact that we're creating overall targets to achieve and deliver to about 12 months from now, right? A year from now, where do you want to be? That's what we've defined success as in the previous episodes, right? Well, how do you eat this elephant, right? That's what we're going to break down today. How do we eat the elephant? It's one bite at a time. So what are the bites that you need to take in order to achieve your annual targets that you've been working with this entire time? Take your annual targets that are established for next year and then define what your milestones could be. So for example, and this is a very easy one, but typically your finance team, if you have a finance team, they do this for you. They say, oh, here's a revenue target. Let's break that down from an annual number into quarterly targets. And then from the quarter, we're going to break it down into monthly targets. And then from the month, we're going to create weekly targets and even down to a daily target, right? And so the way that they've broken that down, it makes it very easy to achieve your sales goal, right? Because it's one step in front of the other, over and over and over as you climb the stairs on the mountain of going from where you are currently to achieving your overall revenue goal for next year. Pretty simple. But you need to do the same thing. You must take the same action with all of your other targets, okay? We said that primarily the targets that you're striving for are financially related. Ultimately, at the end of the day, if you're running a for-profit business, you're focused on financial targets. And pretty much everything else you're working with will lead to the end result of revenue, right? Or controlling expenses so that you can have profit. But there are typically, in any business, there are some other areas that you want to focus in on, right? Maybe, again, you're launching a new product line. I would keep using that as an example as you expand your portfolio of offerings. Well, of course, you'll measure that in revenue, as we've discussed previously. But what are some other things that you would measure? If it's a new project, well, when will you have the service or the product itself ready to go on the market? That's a milestone that has to be achieved, right? And so you're talking about launching a whole new line. That's a target. That's a new something that must be achieved next year. And so what are all of the components, the stepping stones, if you will, that will get you to the end result? That's what you're working on today. Now, again, it may feel a little overwhelming if you're working with about 15 different things, but let's boil it down to no more than 5. That's always the rule. 3 to 5 things that you're going to focus on in a given time frame. You really cannot achieve and focus on more than that, or you will do things halfway. You'll do 15 things, but they'll all be done halfway, which doesn't serve you. 3 to 5 you should be able to accomplish very reasonably, okay? So take your 3 to 5 and ask yourself, here's the endpoint, because you know what it is. You have the final target. Where are you now? You've already determined that. You've looked at the levers that you can pull that will get you from where you are now to where you want to be. And the reason that you know what those levers are is because you probably have been doing a lot of these things previously. So you know some of these levers. If it's a brand new project, You may not know all of the levers, but you're going to list each one of them that you're fully aware of. Okay? So what's the target? Where are you now? What are the levers that you can pull, right? The things that contribute, the actions that contribute to getting you from here to here, right? And then what you're going to do is say, well, when am I going to pull this lever? What percent should that lever give me? When would I expect to see that contribution happen in the business? And if we go back to the example of a product launch, well, let's establish when that product should be on the market. Maybe the company's decided it for you, or as the business owner, you've decided that you're going to see it happen in June. Okay, let's just pick a date. Perfect, June. So then what are all of the things that must happen in order to have that product launch successfully in June? Are there any internal teams that you need to create, a project team? Perfect, right? That's a lever that you're going to have to put out there. You've got to create the team because the team is going to generate the work. Then you have to create the actual product or service and go through the meetings and actually generate that tangible offer. Then you've got to actually put the offer together. You probably have to do some marketing around it. All of those pieces go together into that project to then launch that part of your business effectively. All of those pieces are levers that help you get to where you want to be, which is a successful launch by the month of June. This is the actual creation of your roadmap. Now, what I want to challenge you to do is you're either going to be in one of two camps. You are either going to listen to this and go, okay, Katrina, I'm going to solve this. And you are going to roll up your sleeves and you are going to sit down and you are going to come up with every single aspect for how you are going to deliver to this target. And you're going to say in the month of January, we're going to do this, which then prepares us for the month of February where we're going to do this. And you're going to have it fully detailed. I mean, to the highest degree. It's great. Or you're going to be in the other camp where you say, I'm not going to go in full detail. I'm going to have some general framework. I'm going to decide that in the month of January, I've got to create the team, and this is the one thing they've got to accomplish. Not worried about how. February, they need to go ahead and start talking with vendors and folks that can create the actual tangible product for us, right? In the meantime, they also need to be talking with marketing. And what you're doing is you're creating a high-level project map, okay, in the example of launching a new product. And you create the high-level map, but how they achieve it, you leave to the team. Now, I'm not going to tell you that there's a right way or a wrong way. What I would tell you is if you're a corporate executive or you're the business owner and you have a team, my advice to you is to create the high-level overview. Set the expectations for what you want to have happen when. What must happen in Q1 in your mind to ensure that you deliver to those 3 to 5 targets? What must happen in Q1? What must happen in Q2? What must happen in Q3 and then in Q4? What are the musts? And then when we connect next week, what I want to do is walk you through how to engage your team so that then you bring them in and they figure out the how. You need them to have buy-in in this process. And the only way that you're going to do that is that if you give them part of the responsibility. Now, if you're in the first camp and you figure out every detail and you figure out all the hows, there's nothing wrong with that. And if you're an entrepreneur, you may have to do that. You may be a solopreneur and it's all on you, and that's fine. But if you do go through the entire process of solving every piece and you do have a team around you, I'm going to challenge you this week and I'm going to do it again next week. I don't want you to share every detail with your total team on all the pieces that you came up with. Let's see what they come up with, all right? It's cool to have a plan. It's always good to have something in your back pocket in case something doesn't work out. But as a leader, if you have the framework, that gives them the ability to have some ownership and some responsibility, and you'll be surprised at what a lot of folks will do. So today's challenge is simply this. Take the targets that you already know you need to deliver to next year. Take all the information that you've already created about how you are performing currently. Where are you right now? You've got your list of levers that are in between. And what I want you to do is define in Q1, these things must happen to deliver and get us a step closer to the 3 to 5 targets. In Q2, in Q3, in Q4, define it by quarter, what must happen in each quarter, high level, in order to be successful and hit those targets. Next week, we're going to talk about involving your team. I want to tell you happy holidays. Merry Christmas, any and all holidays that you celebrate. Happy holidays to you and whatever that looks like. I wish you well. I wish you time with your family. Go and have a wonderful time, and I will connect with you next week. As always, go and be legendary.